Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Y and E podcast. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, share, and engage with us in the comment section. We're speaking about one of the statements the former VP of Nigeria made, Atiku Abubakar, in this interview. And he was talking about a lot of politicians. He was talking about politics, and he basically called Jonathan inexperienced. And based on everything that happened, especially how he lost the election that brought Buhari into power. So we're speaking about the circumstances surrounding the whole situation, and we're saying that our Nigerians not better under Jonathan administration than today's administration. Our Nigerian not even better under Jonathan's administration compared to the Obasanjo administration, where Atiku Abubakar was a VP. And we all know VPs don't have no power. They're just there to compliment the president. And whenever the president is not available on or visits or occasions that the presidents are not able to attend, the VP will represent. So VPs typically don't have any power. They're just there as a ceremonial role. But what do you think about Tinubu's administration? What do you think about Buhari's administration? What do you think about Jonathan's administration? What do you think about Obasanjo's administration? Do you think the lives of the Nigerian people were better in some shape or form under each of these past presidents?
I mean, one funny thing about Nigerian government from Obasanjo is that it doesn't get better with each administration. Like every new administration, it doesn't get better. It just gets worse. And then we always use the previous administration as a benchmark for the present administration, which is an irony because we're supposed to be measuring each administration to the current time happenings around, the administration. Take, for example, when Obasanjo left office, Yaradua came in, and the few months that Yaradua was there, people began to say that, comparatively to Obasanjo's administration, that Yaradua was better. Then Yaradua left, God rest his soul. Jonathan came in, and people began to say life was difficult, life was expensive. I remember that time they were selling rice about, a bag of rice, 100 kg, I think, about maybe around 5,000 or 5,000, 6,000. And then Buhari came, Buhari took it up, and then Tinubu came in, and then Tinubu took it up. So I think, compared to that time between 1999 and 2007, I think Obasanjo's administration was good at that time. And Jonathan's administration was okay at that time because inflation wasn't this crazy, naira to dollar rate wasn't this out of control. Probably because there were not a lot of awareness. A lot of Nigerians were not online. But there was not enough internet for everybody to be online to know what was going on. So basically, if you do not have the money to buy newspaper and stuff like that, you couldn't know what was going on around you. But I think this administration and then the previous one are just having it worse because now there are Nigerians are way more aware, informations are way more, decentralized. People have access to information more, it doesn't take time for information to cascade from Abuja to any part of Nigeria. But with regards to the interview, I think he was just full of himself. I think he just think that if it's not him, nobody else can do it. I really respect his seriousness, his zeal of wanting to rule Nigeria. But with all due respect, it does look like he's not destined to rule Nigeria because he tried so many times, probably about 6 times. If he contests again, that will be about 7 times. Probably the highest number in the entire world, anywhere in the world. But if I were him, I would just sit back, relax and sponsor people, maybe younger ones, to just take over the mantle of leadership because even if he contests and wins Tinubu, he's going to perform worse than Tinubu is performing because age is no longer on his side. He will do a lot of delegation, and a lot of those delegation will probably not be as effective as if he's doing it himself. And people know that he will not be able to come out to, to supervise projects and do all of those stuff. So, and he will be flying all over the world, maybe from Nigeria to Dubai, will be frequenting it to fix himself and all of those stuff. So instead of putting Nigerians through that, I think he should just get behind somebody that is younger, more energetic, that can actually face the responsibility of the office and deliver to Nigerian people. If he truly like Nigeria as a country, I think that's what he needs to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I also agree that Nigeria has gotten progressively worse over the last 3, 4 administrations. And you can't absolutely or completely blame the president. Maybe you can blame the policies. With Tinubu, we had the issue of subsidy. With Buhari, we had issue with chronic impunity, chronic theft of the government resources. But don't forget about it, about COVID. COVID was part of the problem. And maybe during Jonathan's time, maybe it was Ebola or something like that. And it was very challenging and, basically affecting economies and things like that. So you can't basically push aside those external interruptions in the economy, but it is part of leading an organization, leading a country. Everything is not going to be rosy. Your job as a leader is to react and make good decisions that will favor your people. And unfortunately, the past presidents, they haven't really made that you know, good decision that will benefit the lives of the Nigerian people. Looking backward a bit, I want to say that people like Atiku, people like Tinubu should never be president in Nigeria. They have great influences and they should have helped younger people get into power. When Tinubu ran and became a president, he should not have run at all. He shouldn't have contested for the election. He pushed Buhari. Buhari was an absolute failure. If Tinubu hadn't become a president, it would still be on the good books of many in Nigeria. People will still regard him as a leader, as a father figure, as a good career politician. You can still say all those things, but you remember that it was during his tenure that a lot of things turned from bad to worse. When he ran, he should have pushed the former VP or Shimbajo to become the president. But because of his selfish or arrogant nature, just like Atiku, they're looking to be the president. I believe Osinbajo is still a little bit younger. At that point, he could have become a Nigerian president. He could have delivered for the people. And don't forget when Buhari was in this post for a few months, he actually ran the country great and a lot of people spoke greatly about him, about his leadership styles, but they pushed him aside because they had a different agenda, the different motives for the people. So people like that should be the ones leading, not Tinubu, not the likes of Atiku. They're already fathers and they should be encouraging the younger people. And not that Osinbajo is also a young man, but he's still considered younger compared to the people in their ease or approaching 80s. So I think it was a bad idea for President Tinubu to run and become the president. Is still a bad idea for him to run for a second term at this point. He should leave. I would have said maybe he should leave when the occasion was loud, but right now, it's not even loud. A lot of people will still regard him as a failure, even if he leaves tomorrow. Even if he wins the second term, he will still be regarded as failure. Because many people that would have been able to feed their family 3 meals a day are no longer able to do that. And it is sad. And you would think someone that is educated from the Southwest, if it was from the North, we would say maybe because they didn't know better. But he knows better. His family members, many of them are not in Nigeria. So they will be telling him, hey, this is how things are done. But it looks like he's being shielded from a lot of issues going on. And the way he speaks, you can feel the arrogant tone in his speeches. And you wonder if it truly sees everything going on in the country.
Yeah, I agree with you. Remember, I told you one of our episodes that that don't be surprised that they shaded him from a lot of the happenings, in Nigeria. In fact, a lot of the most controversial things that are happening, you did be surprised about all these killings. You probably have a very limited knowledge about some of these killings. That is as bad as it can get. Yeah, I agree with you that Nigeria becomes progressively worse, and we tend to compare with the previous administration. And even though the dynamics are different, we still try to compare it to the previous ones. I honestly believe that Tinubu shouldn't have run. He ran. That was his constitutional right to run. The people shouldn't have voted for him because they had a younger candidates like the likes of Showore, the likes of Kislin Kimogalu, I think he lives in the US. Peter Obi was there. In fact, I'm not going to mention Atiku because Atiku is as old as Tinubu. So they could have gone for a younger candidate. But because of circumstances, because of hunger, because of the fact that people do not look past their nose, they are just so limited to see beyond their immediate environment or their immediate situation that, that's how we ended up with Tinubu, the fact that he's hiring his boys from Lagos is not even helping matter. It's all the key positions. He's plugging his boys. Maybe I would do the same. Maybe you would do the same. Maybe most people would do the same. Even if after Tinubu somebody else comes in, I don't think the person would do much of a change or would do any better because our problem in Nigeria is more of systemic problem. It's more of institutional problem than it has to do with just the individual. There is a rot in the Nigerian system that that allows these behaviors. The rot in the system are allowed the court to be messing up with the political parties, allow, all the branches of government to be acting up, to be, to be kowtowing to one man in Abuja. So if we really want Nigeria to work, there have to be a systemic, reset or reboot. Everything has to change and there has to be a national orientation. There has to be the orientation. We'll have to go back to merit-based system. It's no longer going to be like federal character or my boys and stuff like that. We need to put people that are qualified for position in positions of authority or in any position for that matter.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I know you're also a proponent of going back to that government. I think I've seen other people talk about it as well. And, we already have 6 geopolitical zones, and we can have maybe a prime minister or a president just for ceremonial purposes, but the power will be in that 6 geopolitical zones, and people will, deliver for their people. And if they can't deliver for their people, then their people will be able to hold them accountable. The elders or the um, stakeholders in each geopolitical zone will have that conversation and make decisions together in unity that will favor the people. So that way was cutting down on the cost of governance. We won't need those House of Rep members and senators. Maybe we'll have senators or House of Rep members in the 6 geopolitical zones, but we'll just have a consensus prime minister that those people can actually vote out. And people, right now it's a winner take all situation, and it's bad. It's not looking good, and it doesn't look like there's uh, an end in sight. Because right now it looks like the power comes from top down, and it should go from bottom up. And hopefully, people that will truly make the change will get there. But it looks like the current president is not interested in making any drastic change, especially the ones that won't favor him or favor any of his policies. He will not look at that. He will not look at that. He will definitely look at the things that will favor him, and he will finish out his 8 years or 4 years, depending on how the elections go in 2027.
Yeah, I still support that. Going back to regional government, I think if we do that, the governance will be closer. The government and the governance will be closer to the people. The people will feel the impact of the government, the governance more versus what we have right now, where the whole power is concentrated in Abuja. If there is any problem with a commissioner of police in Delta State or anywhere for that matter, you will have to wait, or you will tell the governor of the state, especially if the governor is not in the good book of the president. You will tell the governor to wait until he gets order from Abuja. That is as bad as it can get. So if we decentralize power, if we send power back to the regions, and then the region takes care of their issue, we just have a prime minister, as a ceremonial head. I think it will serve Nigerian better. Maybe there are other variables that I'm not putting into consideration. Maybe that is why I'm suggesting this. But if anybody have any better idea, that will move the country forward, I think they can bring it on. But for me, I think regional government, going back to regional government, will really, take us to where we want to be. Guess what? I'm just a regular Joe. So let us know what you think, and then we'll be happy to engage with you in the comment section.